following program is an exclusive Disruption Networks production.
It's Bowling for the Bahamas and Celebrity Bowling Challenge to benefit the Bahamas Disaster Relief Fund. Sunday, December 1st, 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. AMF Panorama Lanes, 1724 Genesee Street, Utica. Come have fun and enjoy a few games of bowling for a good cause. There will be prizes, food and drink specials, and some special challenges mixed in along the way. $20 per bowler or $100 per team includes 2 games and shoe rental. All proceeds go directly to the Bahamas Relief Foundation. That's Bowling for the Bahamas and Celebrity Bowling Challenge, presented by Disruption Network, Holy Pozzoli, and AMF Panorama Lanes. Sunday, December 1st, 1724 Genesee Street, Utica.
So you just bought your dream home, and now it's time to move. Let's face it, nobody likes to move. All the packing, unpacking, lifting, upstairs, downstairs, and broking everything, including your back. Let the professionals at EJA Moving Company take all the stress and pain out of your move. Competitively priced moving, relocation services, office moves, and complete packing and unpacking services. They work with everybody to make it simple and easy for you to move and relocate. Call EJA Moving Company at 315-335-0516. When it's time to relocate, have EJA Moving do all the work for you. Hit them up online, ejamoving.com.
Hey, Disruption Network. This is Mike Sacco, the general manager at Nye Volkswagen of Rome. If you don't know me by name, it's only because you have not received the best deal. There's only one reason to leave Utica, and that's to come see me in Rome and get the best deal on your next new, pre-owned, or certified VW. Mention that you heard this ad from Disruption Network and receive $250 off your next vehicle purchase. You'll know why our customers say, I love my Nye VW. Come see us at 5865 Rome Taberg Road in Rome, or visit us online at nyvwofrome.com.
Want to know what's going on at the D? Hit up DisruptionNetwork.net and check out our events calendar, brought to you by the Events Co. Find out about upcoming guests, special events, concerts, show schedules, community activities, and more. Get connected at DisruptionNetwork.net.
Welcome to EC Radio Podcast. We would like to thank all of our sponsors for joining the Disruption team, and we hope that you will support all of our sponsors. And of course, we appreciate you listening to this program.
Attention listeners, the host of this show and the majority of his guests are not responsible for the correct pronunciation of words, vowel dropping, reduction of sentences, loud vocal inflections, passionate conversations, excessive talking with their hands, and several undefined words. All these terms are exempt for the fact that we are located in the upstate New York region known as Utica, New York. Furthermore, the views expressed by our guests are not those of Disruption Network and their sponsors. Have an invigorating day.
It's kind of like my ode to Wayne's World here. On the D, what's happening, everybody? Hope you're enjoying your Tuesday. I am definitely enjoying my Tuesday. That's because I'm fueled by my friends over at Utica Coffee. Wake the hell up, Utica. You can find them online at wakethehellup.com. I love this stuff. I'm drinking Mexican organic. And I'm actually drinking Mexican organic and not smoking it. Anyways. Also, much love to a good tie-in right here to the Utica Hemp Company. Big love to Joe Sweet and the crew for doing all their wonderful things. They're saving the world. They're helping people heal out there with their CBD. Stop into their 4 locations. Check them out at uticahempco.com. Also, much love to EJA Moving Services and Nye Volkswagen in Rome. Mention this podcast at Nye Volkswagen in Rome. $250 off the vehicle purchase. It's me, Z. Follow along all Disruption Network social media platforms, and it's wrapped up into a nice little podcast that you can view at your discretion, at your leisure. at disruptionnetwork.net. Yes. My guest today, my man, we've been wanting to do this for a while. Musician extraordinaire, my bass playing brother, Billy Carman, in the house with me, man. Good to see you, man.
Nice seeing you.
How many bands you in right now?
85.
Seriously. Since 85, too, right?
Since, from a little before that, actually.
Did you watch The Simpsons at all?
Once in a while, yeah.
There's that guy like, hey, you might remember me from such bands. Yeah. You'd be like, hi, I'm Billy Carman. You might remember me from such bands as Red Hush.
I remember you. I had hair. That's my line. I had hair then. You don't look familiar. I had hair. So.
Yeah. When did you shave the head?
I don't know, probably about 10, 12 years ago.
Yeah.
This is my story, and I'm sticking to it. I did like the buzz cut thing. And I was doing it one day, and the attachment fell off, and I had like a runway on the back of my head. So I had to shave it. I shaved it. I was like, hey, you're a pretty sexy bastard. I'm going to leave it like that.
There you go. There you go. Got that Mr. Clean thing going on. It's so much easier being bald, though,
It's just easier. If I tried to grow it, I really don't know what it'll do.
Yeah.
So I'm not even going to bother.
And you're not clogging up your drains in your sink anymore.
Definitely not. Not for a long time.
And then your expense of like shampoo and conditioner and hair products go right out the window.
Right out the window.
Yeah.
Well, you got to keep the back shiny, so.
Yeah. Use some lotion or whatever.
Yeah, there you go.
So we got talking, man, and I'm like, Billy, stop talking right now, because we were talking some good stuff before we went on, and you were talking about what got you into music.
Yeah.
And you had the experience of playing with Mickey Dolenz from the Monkees.
Yeah, yeah.
And before we got into this podcast, you were saying the Monkees is what got you into music. So
yes.
Talk about that a little bit. I want to know this story a little bit. Like the Monkees, we were watching them on TV, and that's how you got influenced by them?
Yeah, I mean, when I was a kid, like we were saying, the Beatles, I was a little young to really get the Beatles. I was born in 65, so I didn't really get the Beatles. I have older brothers and sisters, and they were in the stuff that I just didn't really catch on to. And, to watch TV when I was a kid, watch the Partridge Family. I used to think I was in the Partridge Family. I was the drummer in the Partridge Family. If you didn't know that. To this day, I swear I was. And of course, the Monkees, and it just blew me away. And of course, the Monkees led me to, the Beatles and other stuff, And I think my first album, this is how, wild my head is. My first album, I think, was Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath. It was like one of my first albums.
What you purchased with your own money.
Yeah.
Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath.
Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, and Skynyrd, Second Helping, I think.
Okay.
Those are like my first two albums. So,
Solid choices, though.
Yeah, great choices, So we were into everything when we were kids. But definitely the Monkees. The Monkees was like, that was it. Bananarama. We had Bananarama, Bananarama, I think it was. Not Bananarama.
From the 80s.
Yeah, not Bananarama. What was, I'll think of it. But it was like this thing on Saturday morning.
The Banana Splits.
Banana Splits.
Yeah.
Sid
and Marty Croft.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
H.R. Puff and stuff.
Yeah, they all had their own bands and stuff. So I was digging it,
Uh-huh.
So that led me to music, man. I just felt that. I was like, I want to be in a band.
Tell me the creators of like Banana Splits and Sid and Marty Croft weren't on like LSD or something.
Oh, there was something going on.
There was definitely something going on there. There had to have been something going on.
Puff and stuff. I mean, come on.
For sure. Who was the first bass player that turned you on to that instrument? That made you want to say, that's what I want to do?
Well, it's another weird story. Is my older brother had an acoustic guitar. He took a few lessons, and he didn't really dig it, I guess, and a couple strings were broken on it. So it only had the four bass strings. And my neighbor, this good friend of mine, Jeff Dickinson, good friend of mine to this day, he's out there sitting on his porch playing his acoustic guitar. So here I am, like, I don't know, 9, 10 maybe. So I go walking over with my brother's guitar, and I'm like, hey, I got a guitar. And he's like, well, what you got there is a bass guitar. He goes, you only have 4 strings. So he taught me how to, play the root notes. And he says, and always use your fingers. He says bass players use their fingers. So, yeah, so that's the guy that got me playing bass. Started, I think the first song I ever played other than, Smoke on the Water.
Right, of course.
Was like Horse with No Name or something like that I played. And then, of course, right into the Black Sabbath and stuff because it's straightforward, So I was digging that a lot. Mm-hmm. And then from there, it just, you start really experimenting.
Then you go down a rabbit hole of all these great...
Oh, you go nuts. Yeah, I mean, every Jack Bruce, of course, Geddy Lee, all that kind of stuff. So it's like...
Steve Harris, were you in the Steve Harris?
Definitely Steve Harris, yeah. Nobody, runs like he does. His fingers, picking fingers are amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, all that stuff. It's just whoever, then later, of course, Flea, of course, the god, Jaco Pastorius.
Of course.
Which just blew my mind. I actually learned a lot from watching and listening to him. Just amazing.
Yeah.
Where'd you get that lick from? Well, it's a little trick Jaco talked about. He talked about playing horn licks. You know what I mean? When you play the bass, think of what would the trumpet play? You know what I mean?
Right.
So instead of playing that standard straight up riff, what would the trumpet player do? Something like that. Then you can incorporate that into, that's what John Paul Jones and all those guys were doing.
Absolutely.
Incorporating all that into Zeppelin, They're all accomplished players. A lot of the great bass players are also horn players. Mm-hmm. John Entwistle played French horn. Flea is a trumpet player,
Right.
So, yeah, definitely, man. It puts you in a slightly different pattern with your riffs, not just a straight up. So I try to, emulate that a little bit.
Did you ever see Jaco live?
I never saw him live. No.
Did you get into him a little bit later in life, or were you into him when he was still alive?
He was still alive.
Okay.
Yeah, and
The Weather Machine or
Weather Report.
Weather Report.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I had a really weird transition in music because I was like totally into Skynyrd and stuff for a while. Mm-hmm. And of course, then you had the Steve Miller Band. You just had tons of just great music. So it was very eclectic. You could go from one thing to the next, and then I started getting into the progressive rock. I used to play with my buddy Gary Briggs, played drums, and we were like 15 years old, and we're getting into stuff like Mahavishnu Orchestra and stuff. John McLaughlin. Just, not that we could play it great, but we were really, and some of the stuff we actually did. We did like UK and stuff like that, and really cut our teeth on that stuff.
Great stuff out
there.
Hang on,
it's great.
Fixing this camera really quick. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
There we go. Bam, I'm back. Okay.
Back?
Yeah, some really, really good stuff out there. Now, what was the first band you ever got into?
My first band I ever had was a band called Jade.
Jade.
Yeah. We had.
Was that Rome or?
That was in Rome. We did like our 8th grade talent show.
Okay, so you're in like junior high school at the time.
Yeah. So I was 8th grade, and then I had a band called Star Rider Band, and we were rock stars.
Oh, yeah. At least we thought you were.
We thought we were. Well, we played some dances. We played some sock hops.
Sock hops.
Sock hops. Yeah.
What are those, Dad?
Well, son, the roller rink. We used to play at the roller rink.
What are those, Dad?
Yeah, those are a place where you roll around in a rink. What's a rink? Yeah, so that's what, it was fun. Like Friday night, after the roller skating was over, you would put your roller skates away and run around in your socks and hop if you like. So I'll never forget playing one of the sock hops, and they came up to us and they said, okay, some of your songs are a little, the content. We played Needle and a Spoon, Skynyrd. Of course, we played Cocaine, Like, if you're going to play them, we did like a disclaimer before the songs to explain, these are anti-drug songs. Like, okay, we'll do that.
Did you?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
We did. The song is against drugs.
We're not encouraging drug use.
Not encouraging it, No.
Throw the disclaimer before every song. Then.
Yeah, pretty much. Ever.
Tedious after a while.
But, you did what you had to do. Right. I think we all went home with like $5. We were like, totally digging it.
So were you playing gigs in high school? Like, were you out in bars?
I was,
gigging and stuff?
Yeah. So,
were you gigging at night, then going to school in the morning?
No, weekends.
More of the weekends.
Yeah. And then, funny story. It was like, I think it was 11th or 12th grade. I remember 11th grade. The drummer and I were already playing out and doing gigs, and we got a band together to do the talent show. And we got nixed. They said, no, you're professional players. You're gonna make the other kids feel bad, because you're better. We're like, what? We're playing Bad Company and stuff. It's not, you know what I mean? It really that stuck with me. I was like, I wanted to play. I wanted to play for my peers.
Yeah.
It's like nobody thought anybody was, but we're all friends. All the musicians were friends and everything. Still are to this day. So yeah, Like, we never even thought about it. It wasn't like you were winning a prize. You were just playing and having fun. I can't remember the name of that band. Closed Circuit. That's what it was. We all wore, like, suspenders, You
had, like, a little gimmick going?
Yeah, I had a little thing going.
Yeah. Uniforms.
Yeah, we had, like, painter's pants and suspenders.
Interesting. How many bands do you think you've been in throughout the years?
I don't know. Just
Thousands.
A lot. Yeah, a lot. I've tried to count before. But I really don't. I don't know. It was a lot, But we worked really hard. When we were kids, we really, really worked hard. We didn't have the internet. We didn't have the phones. We played our guitars. We'd hang out in our buddies' house, and my parents were great. We had a den at our house. It had a fireplace, and it had this old like jukebox type of stereo that the lights flashed and everything. So we'd hang out back there and play our guitars forever. Then they let us rehearse in the garage, so we'd be cranking up the neighborhood. And my father used to let me put on concerts in the backyard.
Did he?
So yeah, we burned wood, So when all the wood was gone, it was just like wood. The pallets, were all there, just lining the fence line. So I'd take all those and I'd make a stage, little platforms, and put plywood on it, and invite all the friends over. And we'd have jams like on a Saturday.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I've got some good pictures, and I met a lot of cool musicians that way. They would just pop over. Hey, there's this kid. He's got a jam session going on. Scotty Fleming, who I play with in Bad Dog now, that's how I met him. He was in the Air Force. He was an Air Force guy. And I was just a kid. And somebody said, hey, there's this kid's got a jam going on over at his house. So he showed up, and it was great, man. That was 1982. 82.
A lot of different times back then.
Yeah.
When did you learn about the music business, though? And was there an instance that you were like, wow, this is kind of shady?
Yeah,
the music business could be quite shady, as you know.
Yes, very shady. I played with Sam Madonia. I was in the band Night Train, like the second version of the band Night Train, a long time ago. And Sammy was just a plethora of knowledge. I don't know if you knew Sammy or not.
I didn't.
Everybody knows not the greatest drummer, but he held the beat, and when we played top 40. So I went from literally playing Rush and Genesis and UK and Triumvirate, and I got asked to play with Night Train, who was playing literally 3 to 5 nights a week. And I'm like, yeah, I'll do that, So I went from, Rush to Huey Lewis. And all my purist prog friends were like, they were so disgusted.
What are you doing, bro?
Yeah, what are you doing? How can you do that? It's like, it's fun. It's like I'm having fun. But, he worked for Tony C. He did a lot of booking. So he taught me a lot of stuff, that I still carry with me now. And he was good at what he did. And, one of the things he told me was, I'll never forget somebody said, hey, you guys, the only reason you play is because Sammy books you, da-da-da. And Sammy said, listen, I can book you anywhere once.
That's it.
You want to go back?
Yeah.
You got to do a good job.
You got to perform.
That's it. Mm-hmm. They won't take you back unless you do good. Mm-hmm. So I was like, wow, that's, makes sense to me.
Makes a lot of sense.
That's why I always tell bands, younger guys and stuff, I said, listen, whatever you do, if you're going to play a club, sound your best. If you got to hire a sound company, whatever you got to do, hire somebody good, do it right. Mm-hmm. Do it right the first time. Doesn't matter if you make any money, just make a good impression, get out there, and people are fickle. If they hear you once, and even if you're a great band, but if it's not, coming out the front end, they're not going to come back. You can't entice people back. It's very, very hard.
You only get one first impression.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That old adage. It's just, yep. And it's true. It rings true, and really true in music.
Mark Madonia has given us a brother. Right?
Brother.
Good to hear from you, man.
We just had a rehearsal last night. We're at the gig, Red Hush at the gig Friday night.
Friday night?
Yeah. The brothers at the gig.
Man, Red Hush has such a great story behind them. Like, they're still together after how many, 30 plus years?
I know.
Still doing it?
They are.
And you've been, how long you been playing bass for them?
A couple years now.
They've always had bass player issues, kind of.
Well, Bob Lett was with them for a long
Bob
time.
Was with them for a while.
Yeah.
Right. Big ups to Bob Lett.
Yeah, I love Bob.
Me
Bob's
too.
great.
Me too.
And then Chuck.
And then Chuck Heath was with him for a minute.
Was with him for a little while. And then Chuck was having issues. He hurt his back. He had some back issues and stuff. And,
did he?
Yeah, and they were making some changes. And I was like, well, I'll sit in if you guys need somebody, you want to do something, they wanted to do something, so here we are. And they wanted to play some. The originals are killer.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, killer. The guys are so talented. It's unbelievable. I unfortunately am not in on any of their original stuff that they did. We play some of it, but they want to just get out and play some fun music and play. So I mean, it's the range of music that Red Hush is playing now is just everything from Bryan Adams to their original stuff. It's just great stuff.
Yeah, great party band.
They are a party band for sure.
Right?
They like to have fun. Yeah.
If you're having a party, Red Hush.
Red Hush.
It'd be a great
party band.
Great addition to your party.
Yeah.
That's for damn sure. So that's coming up on Friday at the gig?
Friday at the gig, yeah.
Check them out. Support your local music, people. That's what we preach around here. I want to do a Red Hush, like, behind the music type of thing. I've talked to Shane about it before because it's a great story, and I also know he's an archivist, so he keeps, like, the original poster that he had. And
he's got stuff you wouldn't believe.
And pictures and stuff like that. I mean, that would be great to document a lot of this stuff.
Unbelievable. The stories they have. They're a little younger than me, and I remember Bob when I was working with Mere Mortals. I was in a band called Mere Mortals, and Bob Aquaviva said, "Hey, there's these kids in Rome. They want to do some recording." He goes, "Go check them out. Would you check them out for me?" And I went to Mark's house, and it was Metacopus, and they were playing. I was like, these guys are great. Boog on bass, great guy. And I was like, wow, they're fantastic. So I've known them since they were still in high school. So that's how long I've known them, been friends with them. And it's just unbelievable.
Metacopus had like a Queensryche vibe to them.
Kind
of really high screams. And like,
in Europe, they're
those notes back in the day.
There's still people in Europe. We talked about it. I said, you know what? If you did a Metacopus reunion, you could hook up like with Frontier Records or something. You could go over there. You could do a tour. They could do a tour. They like them over there, so they like that stuff.
We got to make that happen, though. I want to do this documentary on them. I think it's a great story because you can't keep a band together for more than 3 months, let alone 30 plus years.
Oh man, it'd have to come with a warning label.
Yeah.
You have to have a few versions, but the unedited X-rated version would be just funny. The stories they talk about stuff they did, and they were the Motley Crue of Central New York.
Yeah.
I mean, no doubt about it. Absolutely, they didn't just talk the talk; they walked the walk. Like unbelievable. They got that way over me. I had fun, but those guys were,
The important thing is to have fun too, though.
They had fun,
right?
They had
even still
fun.
To this day, right? You still having fun playing music.
If I didn't, I always said my adage was always people like, "Oh, you play with this man, that man." I always said if I don't enjoy it, I won't do it. If it comes to that point where it's it's a drudge, it's like I won't do it. You're always going to have those nights.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? But when it's a constant thing, I just rather not do it. I won't do it. I'll just take up macrame or something. Learn how to play the dulcimer.
The didgeridoo.
Yeah.
That'd be fun. When you do have those bad nights, how do you shake it off? Do you shake it off? Like, you shake
it off.
Do you tend to overthink a little too much, or
I tend to my issue? I've been doing this a long time, and I'm like, when I play, I'm watching everything and everybody. I want everybody to have a good time. And when they're not, and you're trying to make that connection, sometimes that can be a real downer.
Yeah.
Or when there's I can say what I want here, right? When there's some douchebag in the audience, you know what I mean? That's really wrecking it for other people. That I just can't stand that.
I hear you.
It's like, just let people just be cool, have fun, and enjoy it.
Yeah.
That can get me down. Sometimes I have a very low tolerance for the classic drunk that's just ruining it for everybody.
The Freebird guy.
Yeah, it's like, just stop, man.
Yeah. Go to bed.
But a lot of the clubs around here are good. Yeah, a lot of the clubs are really good. They handle people. If you say, hey, listen, this guy, they'll tell him, listen, dude, it's time to go home. They're good about it. So, not like, let me tell you what, back in the, early 80s and the 80s and some of the 90s, rough. There's some rough clubs. You know what I mean?
Fights.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Crazy.
Just a lot of crazy stuff.
A lot of crazy stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of fun stuff, but a lot of crazy stuff. It's not like that anymore. It really isn't. It's more professional.
Yeah.
You know?
What about when the band becomes like just background music? Does that kind of irritate you a little bit?
that
When nobody's really getting into it, you're almost there for a paycheck, kind of.
Yeah, and that happens.
Right.
It happens to the best of the bands. I've seen it.
Yeah.
I won't mention the club, but we were playing one night, my band Bad Dog, and and the bartenders were a little younger. They didn't really Bad Dog's like a true classic rock, blues based classic rock kind of band. Mm-hmm. Like pre when you think of classic rock now, people are thinking Journey and
Kansas,
Foreigner, Boston. Yeah, I'm going back. Real classic rock. Cream. That kind of stuff. That's blues based. That's real classic rock. So we do a lot of that kind of stuff. Anyways, the bartenders, they didn't really know what we were doing. They're just doing their jobs. And we get up to play, and they never shut the house music off. Like I couldn't tell you how many times. So finally we realized they never just. We're like, okay, thank you, good night. They want to hear Lil Wayne now. So it happens.
Yeah,
it does happen.
It definitely does.
But
then there could be those instances where there could be 10 people in the audience, but all 10 of those people are kind of getting off
totally
to what you're
digging
doing.
That happens,
and that vibe goes back and forth between the audience and the band. And those are the nights that you live on, right?
The last time Bad Dog, for example, last time we played Lucan's, it just clicked. And we just had the right people there, and like, who are you guys? Wow, and they're totally digging it. Nobody plays because we do the stuff we do is different. And we do some Steely Dan stuff like that, and they're digging it, totally digging it. We never heard of you guys. Where you guys been? Oh, we've been around, And it was nice. It wasn't packed. It was a nice little crowd, but they were totally digging it, and that's the best. The best, and that's what you do it for.
Yeah.
That one guy or one gal that comes up and says, "Oh man, you're great. Love what you're doing."
Right.
Great band. Great. Yeah. So I like that. And it happens with Red Hush too, and Props. Same thing.
Yep.
So, you have your great nights, and you have some that, you
just get through.
You get through,
You're like that guy in Almost Famous where you're like, I'm that one. I find that one guy who's not getting off, and I make him get off.
Make him love it.
Love that
You're going
movie.
to love this one.
Love the movie. Let's back up a little bit, though, because you're talking about the 80s, and I'm really intrigued by the 80s music scene, especially locally.
Yeah.
Like, I see today, there's like a good brotherhood in the local music community right now.
Yes.
There really is.
Yeah.
Like, everybody kind of gets along, and like back in the 80s and the 90s, it was a little more competitive.
Yeah.
And like people were really trying to like mess each other up where it wasn't too much support in the crowd.
Right.
Can you elaborate a little bit on that? Like the difference between the brotherhood going on today as a comparison to what was going on in the 80s?
Well, in the 80s, I mean, first of all, there was a lot of good bands.
Yeah.
I mean, really good bands in the 80s. Everything from, the Flyers, Alpha Centauri was out there. Then you had 805, Mr. Ed, and a million other bands in between.
Yeah.
And a lot of like the rock bands, not so much the Mr. Eds and 805s. They were like the pinnacle. They were really, just killing it. But, I've heard stories that, you'd pull some posters down and put yours in their place. That kind of thing went on all the time. But at the end of the day, there was still a brotherhood in the 80s. There was personal rivalries and whatnot, you know what I mean? Who the best guitar player was or singer was. But, yeah, things happened.
Yeah, for sure.
The bands, there'd be fights once in a while and stuff like that. And, and then you'd see, I remember one instance, I can't remember who the band was, but they showed up at one of our gigs and they just kind of walked in and stood there and stared at us. One of those deals. You guys just give us the,
you guys suck.
He didn't play that right.
That could be the best compliment, though. As a musician, have you seen that meme that's going around Facebook? It was like the best compliment a musician can get is when somebody's kind of sitting in the audience like this.
Yeah, really watching it. Yeah.
Really watching. That means you're doing something good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because if you don't have haters, you're not doing something
true.
Right.
That's true.
You need to have the haters.
Yeah. There's haters.
I'm fueled by them.
Yeah.
Bring
it on.
That's why we're here.
Anything you can do, I can do better.
But that's good to hear, though. Because I get a lot of it was very more cutthroat back in the 80s than it was as a comparison to today.
It was. Well, and you had to be good. I mean, it wasn't, don't take this the wrong way, but there's more of a nurturing scene now where I've seen a lot of bands and a lot of artists, local that will come out. Nah, they're okay. They're not that great, but everybody supports them, and keep plugging, man, keep going. And then you'll see them, a few years later, like wow, Johnny Coleman. You know John Coleman?
I don't.
Acoustic guy. And I remember he used to come up to the snubbing post, and he was young, and he was just kind of learning, just kind of figuring it out. And people would encourage him. They didn't have the open mics. I'll tell you what they did have in a minute, but they didn't have like the open mics like they have now. And in a few years, I'd see him here and there, and then all of a sudden I'm like, wow, this kid like really developed into something, like really, really good. I remember when he was just learning the chords. And there's a lot of them, a lot of bands like that out there, a lot of kids that are writing their own stuff, and you see them come along, and everybody helps them along. Back then, in the 80s, you better be good right out of the gate, because if you came out and you weren't so good, the people weren't really encouraging you.
Right.
They were running you over, and talking smack, If you didn't, you don't want that band. To club owners.
Right.
You don't want that band. Hey, what about this band? You don't want that band. Yeah, they suck. That kind of thing. I never did that. I'm going to be honest with you. That was never my deal. My deal was the more, the better, for the whole thing, the whole scene. The more good bands out there, the better. Because what happens is it just drives the whole market up.
Right.
If you've got good
competition,
bands,
man.
yeah,
It does. It drives the market.
Yeah, if you've got good bands out there and they're putting asses in seats, that's what I tell people. It's all about asses in seats.
Well, selling beer.
Yeah.
It's all about selling beer.
You got to get them in there, And, God bless them if they can do it. And the more good ones out there doing it, the better. And like I said, with the younger bands, like the jam band scene, like the Americana kind of scene, it's all cool and it's all growing.
It's huge right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
The jam band scene, and I'm well into it. It's like I've watched it go in waves for many years, and right now it's flourishing. There's all these up and coming bands, and maybe about 10 years ago there really wasn't. There was some, and then maybe 20 years ago there were. So it's been in waves. This is like what they call the fourth or fifth wave of the jam band explosion,
and they're getting more sophisticated.
And they are.
The jam band scene is really becoming what was like the prog scene.
You're right.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
Back then, yeah. I mean, really good musicians. Where for a while there, people were just kind of plinking around, doing a 30-minute jam.
Right.
A 30-minute 3-chord jam, plinking around. But they were learning and they were getting better.
Now it's become more structured and
that Jack and the Jukebox.
Yeah.
First time I heard them, I was like, who do they remind me of? I can't remember who. I'll think of it. But like, it was like, you guys are like serious, prog rock, progressive rock, like for real. You said King Crimson. So you remind me of King Crimson. And the kid like, oh yeah, that's, I love King Crimson. I said, man, you're doing it different, totally different, but you can see it in there, and to see young guys doing that, and Fish, like I'm not a huge Fish fan, but I had a buddy of mine who, made me go to a show, and those guys are monsters.
Right.
I mean, they can play.
然.
I mean,
and
unbelievable.
And then the show that they put on too is a whole nother
level.
It's another package.
Yeah. And so the kids are really, I say kids, but they're playing great, man. I mean, they're just amazing players and writers. Some of the stuff I see, I'm like, wow, that's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So that's out there. Anything you want is really out there.
A lot of creativity.
Everything from, blues, country. Country's doing huge now, My only thing is I really would love to see more original music being accepted,
I agree.
And filling the clubs.
I agree. But that's the other thing too that we're lacking is venues around here.
Right, that are willing to do it.
Right.
Sure. They don't want to do it.
It's a risk.
And if you went back like, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago, but the thing, it's all about money.
Selling beer.
Yeah, because you could bring in 3 or 4 original bands. They'd each play their half-hour set of original music or whatever, but nobody was really getting paid. But all their friends were coming and drinking beer, so the club owners were cool with it, But it's like L.A. pay to play almost,
Yeah.
You're just happy to get out there and play your stuff for people. But it had the original scene as far as the clubs go, just still hasn't really caught on.
It hasn't. It hasn't.
And it's hard.
And there's some great independent artists and independent bands locally.
Oh yeah.
There's so many, but that's why we have this platform right here, so
Sure.
we can feature those guys and let people know that there's a great music scene going on around here.
There's an incredible. There really always has been.
Yeah,
you
right.
know. And we used to joke about, something in the water, because if you really look at the musicians, we used to joke about, Rome. We used to talk about it. I mean, not really joke about it, but just, we would say it in a square mile, and we would use like Frankie Briggs. Frankie Briggs is right.
He's out in California, yeah.
Yeah, he's like world class, like stupid drummer.
Yeah.
So if you stick the pin, at his house and did like a mile radius, and we'd start naming guys off, you'd be like, oh my God, like what happened? Did something from the bass, get in these people's DNA or something? Did they drop a bomb?
The mercury in the water.
Yeah, everything from Joe Yazzo, I think it was Joe, the jazz guy, on up. You just had these incredible players,
I attribute that to the weather, because it sucks
I agree.
9 months out of the year, so you're stuck inside. And so you learn your chops.
Yeah.
Being stuck in the house for 9 months of winter here in upstate New York.
And then what did you have to do? We would sit there and play our guitars.
Yeah.
It's all we did, and call a radio station, and get Hersher Hauser to play a song so we could tape it.
And that's a lost art now, too.
Yeah.
Is the radio stations aren't really real, other than Genesee Joe.
Right.
Gotta give love to Joe.
Yeah, you can get
Love
stuff
you,
out
Joe.
of Joe. Yeah. he's the
Always.
best.
You can always get stuff out of Joe. In fact, we're actually bringing this show to Joe's show next Monday, I think. We're going to try to combine forces
Yeah.
for a day. But anyways, Genesee Joe is one of those guys that is out there supporting the local music scene. And Jerry Krause, too, but Jerry's only there part-time at the Drive.
Yep.
But that's it.
Yeah.
None of
I
these
know.
other radio stations are either spinning. You go to Syracuse, my man Dave Forcina's doing it with the Rebel Rocks, and he's got his sound check and stuff like that. That's in Syracuse, but I'm talking Utica, and we need more of that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Billy Hauser, he used to do the overnight, and we'd call him up, and we like
Peter Hauser?
Or no, Bill Hauser.
Bill Hauser.
Pete Hirsch.
Pete Hirsch. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Hirsch and Hauser.
Yeah.
And Billy Hauser, we used to call him, overnight, and just throw the craziest shit at him. He's like, I can't play that. I go, yeah, you can, and he would play it. He would definitely play it, like wild deep cuts, stuff that nobody would ever think of. But that's what you could do back then.
Yeah.
That was the late 70s, early 80s,
They were playing full albums at the time.
Yeah.
And that's what it's called, AOR.
Yeah.
Album-oriented rock station.
And they really, Southern rock, because I've traveled all over the country and played in Southern rock has a huge hold in this area, and it's OUR. OUR did that. Like, hands down, WOUR did that.
You're right.
They brought all those types of bands, introduced them to us. Not just Skinnerd, but, like Marshall Tucker, the Outlaws, all those guys, you go, I mean, they are popular bands, but especially, even Benny Mardones. Not Southern rock, but Benny Mardones is huge here. But you go other places in the U.S., except for the one song, they don't know who he is. Who? And a lot of the Southern rock bands were like that too. And so they did us a huge favor. They threw stuff at us that nobody else was really listening to. Pockets here and there down south and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But out in the West Coast and stuff, they weren't listening to Marshall Tucker.
Yeah.
Definitely
not.
No.
They're
listening to Ambrosia and stuff, Not that that's bad, but, it's a whole different scene.
I want to talk about your career, your music career. You said you've been traveling. You've traveled all over the place.
Yeah.
Was there ever an instance where you just almost got signed or were signed to a record label?
Well, when I played with Fran Cosmo, we were signed to Frontiers. So we did an album, Alien, Cosmo, the Alien album, that was on Frontier Records. Through working with Fran, I was able to work on a Boston album. So I have a few tracks on a Boston album.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, which was cool. That album was actually nominated for a Grammy as an independent release. And so with him, I traveled with him. Through him, I met Barry Gaudreau, original member, and he played with us for a while. And then I was able to work with Barry and Sib Hashian, the original drummer.
Oh, yes.
They had a band called Dirty Water. I worked with them. So, I did some cool stuff. Traveled, did a lot of, kind of did the rock star thing, if you want to, But it was funny because, I was always a working guy.
Yeah.
And we'd go somewhere, wherever, L.A., anywhere, and we'd play. and it'd be full on concert deal. We did a lot of REO, Kansas. We played with all those types, similar types of bands.
A lot of radio festivals.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff. And then I'd come home and I'd be hanging sheetrock on Monday, and they have no idea. They have no idea that I literally just played for 16,000 people in St. Petersburg on Saturday night. Now here I am. I used to do a lot of work up on the bass. Here I am up on bass, painting a wall. It is what it is.
Well, you had mouths to feed.
Yeah.
And that's the important thing. You got to take care of your family. But were you kicking yourself in the ass when you're painting those walls? Like, what am I doing?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I saw the humor in it, you know what I mean? And it's grounding. But at the same time, it's like you want more of that.
Right.
And I tried. I went out there and did auditions. I auditioned for Disturbed.
Did you?
Yeah, in Chicago. Huh. And it's a funny story because the guy who got the gig, John Moyer, I believe his name is John Moyer, we were just sitting there together, waiting to go in. And we were both sitting there playing our basses. And he was a great player. And he looked great. He had, the like dreads and, all that kind of stuff going on. And I can't remember the band he was in, but he had done Ozfest and stuff with his band. Something Circus. I just can't remember the name. And I said, dude, you got this gig. I go, look at you, man. And we joked around, And so he went in and did his audition. And it was the way it was set up. It was like in a club in Chicago. And you went in, they had a stage and stuff. And so you go in and you play a couple songs, and the band members were there, and you talk for a second. They say, okay, man, thanks, we'll let you know. And you exit. So he went in, and then I went in, and I exited, and he was hanging out. And he goes, how'd you do? I said, I think, I did my thing. I said, but you got the gig. I go, there's just no way. I said, you're great. And you look great. You fit, man. He goes, well, they asked me to hang around. I was like, well, there you go. And he's still there.
Ah, cool.
Yeah, he's still there. Great guy.
So when you go in for this audition, what are you playing? You're playing their stuff? You're playing
their stuff.
Down with the Sickness and all that?
Yeah, well, they I don't remember the songs. They gave you like 5 songs to learn. And you don't know which one you're going to play.
Are you playing with the band or are you playing with roadies?
No. You played to a track.
Oh, you played to a track.
Yeah, you played to the track without the bass line.
I got you.
So, so they just sat there, watching it like 3 rows out in the dark, So I was like, they don't want another bald guy.
Right.
They've already got one.
Dreaming's enough.
Yeah, but it was cool. I mean, it was really cool. It was a fun thing to do.
Great experience.
Yeah, it was a great experience.
Have you had other auditions like that?
Lover Boy, I tried to do a thing with
really?
Lover. Yeah. And
you didn't turn it loose?
Well, Brian Adams, his bass player, wasn't doing anything. And he's from the same neck of the woods, and they're friends. So, and a few other things. I threw my name in a few hats, none of them really worked out. So,
but you tried, dude.
Yeah, I really tried. And then I kind of pulled back. I've got a son, a 13-year-old son. So I kind of said, okay, I got to kind of do this. So it's kind of important. And my older kids too, but they were older, at the time.
But you're not kicking yourself in the ass for not trying.
My plan eventually is to try again. I'm not dead yet,
right.
And when the time arises, I'll give it another go. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. We had a lot of fun. I got a taste of that lifestyle, and we had a lot of fun. And what I liked about it was in a time in my life when, we were professional, have a few beers, have a good time, but nobody was stupid.
Yeah.
It's
still kind of loose.
Yeah, very loose. Yeah. Had a really good time. And it's just, you'd fly out somewhere and you'd hop on what we call a bus, but like a van. You'd hop in a van and you'd go like up and down the West Coast, do some gigs. Then you'd fly home, or down to Florida or Texas or wherever. And a lot of Midwest West stuff, Minnesota, Wisconsin, they love rock out there. They're really, we did a show with REO, it was over 30,000 people.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was like crazy. I had to talk myself off the ledge.
Yeah.
Just the energy it's great. I mean, we did a lot of big shows for a while there, the outdoor shows. 10,000 was average. But this one was just it's just a sea of people.
Do you get stage fright?
I don't. I get excited. Even now, I get amped up a little bit, you know what I mean? But I got a little process to keep myself. And when you see that many people and you don't just, you feel them. You know what I mean? It's a wave. It's an energy, that right. you have to absorb and control.
And it's hard to come down from that.
It's
energy.
really hard to come down for that,
That's why so many musicians and rock stars are out there boozing and drugging afterwards because they still want to continue that high from what the crowd is giving you.
It's crazy. You come off just like, woo, it's like buzzing.
Yeah.
Buzzing.
What about coming off? Like, how do you come down from all that? Like, do you have like a ritual?
We would have a lot of times after the show would be like a really good meal, wine or beer, have a few glasses of wine, have a few beers. We always did a good meal afterwards and just talked and laughed because the pressure's off, so you relax a little bit, but the excitement's still there.
Right. Good point.
So you're still going for like a few hours, and then when you finally like hit your hotel room and lay down at night, it's like the Bob Seger song,
Turn the page.
Yeah. You're buzzing, man. Your whole body's like buzzing.
Like, I can't believe that just happened.
Yeah, I was like, that was a riot. And then then you turn on the Tonight Show.
That's what I tell people, man. Like, playing music in front of a crowd like that, or even playing, like we said before, like playing in front of 10 people.
Yeah.
When that energy is going back and forth, it's better than sex. It's better than drugs. There's no better feeling in the world than coming off that stage. What about afterwards? Like, after the gig, can you like talk to people like soon after, or do you need your space from people? I'm the type of guy, I need space from people. I don't like to be attacked right afterwards.
It depends. I tend to kind of run and hide a little more than I used to.
That's what I do.
But no, I like it. I dig it. I love asking people how to sound.
Right.
What do you think? Right. And I always ask like my musician friends in the crowd. I always in between sets or whatever. How's it sound? Because I mix from the stage a lot. And because a lot of the smaller clubs, it's just what we do. So I make a point to like if I saw you, I'd say, "Easy, how's it sound?" And they're honest with me because I'm honest with them.
Right,
I
exactly.
bring the vocal up a little bit. Or
we usually ask the person that you trust.
Yeah.
Somebody who's either in the industry or know what the hell they're talking about.
Sure. Yep. Yeah. You want everybody to sound good.
Right.
I do that with if I go see a buddy's band or whatever. I'll tell them. I'll be honest with them. If the guitar's too loud or whatever, bring the vocal up. I mean that's what we do.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a whole nother animal, man. Being a musician. Sometimes I wish I never got hooked. I wrote a song about it.
Really?
Yeah, I wrote a song about it years ago, and it's just how it hooks you, man. It just grabs you, and you can never. I put it down for a little while years ago when I first got married. I'm like, what, I'm done for a little bit, and then Franny sucked me back, Franny Cosmo, and I started working with Fran again. But because it's a fickle, It's just a fickle business, It really can rip you up, man. I know so many great musicians that really should have done something, but there's no real formula. You don't know, right? You're gonna move to L.A. That doesn't guarantee anything. Move to New York, Austin, Nashville. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
It doesn't matter. It's just that lightning in the bottle.
Yep. Timing.
It's all about timing. Bam. How'd he do that? Right place, right time. Like Steve Morris, Steve Morris, Dixie Dregs, in Deep Purple now, sick, crazy guitar player. He said, he goes, "You think I'm good?" He goes, "I know guys that blow me away." He goes, "But you'll never hear of them. You'll never see them."
So true.
So when people, people like how I play, and I appreciate that, because I try hard, and I'm like, I know guys that. Make me want to just start a fire and throw my bass on the file.
There's a lot of them out there.
Yeah. There's monsters. There's monsters out there.
Then you end up with that guy like this.
Yeah.
How do you find balance, man? Because you have so many different projects going on, and then you're working. And what do you do for balance? Do you balance yourself? Do you try to like? Well,
I did martial arts my whole life.
Did you?
So that really kept me good, and a lot of that I still hold with me. I don't work out the way I did, obviously, but. Yeah, that usually kept me, I had a good teacher who taught me about balance, so I try to keep it balanced, Believe it or not, when I'm not playing, I don't hang. I'm not, out hanging and, I'm home, chilling. That's what I like to do.
Your balance right there.
Yeah.
Staying grounded.
Yeah, absolutely, and, I've got a million friends, but, and I've got some really close friends, don't get me wrong. I've got a lot of the same friends I've had literally since, grade school. But we don't do a lot of hanging. When we do quality hanging, I got a bunch of buddies that once a year we take a trip. we meet in different places.
Oh, cool.
And like a couple years ago, we went to one guy's in Vancouver, so we went to his place and went down and saw Bills Seahawks Monday Night Football, stuff like that. So that's a riot. We do that once a year. I call them the Lost Boys. We're called the Lost Boys, and we get together, and it's crazy. It's crazy because a couple of them they're away from their wives for a long weekend, so they let loose a little bit. And none of them are musicians. We're just friends.
Mm-hmm.
We grew up together, so that's how that's what you do. And sometimes, believe it or not, I don't pick my instrument up as much as I used to.
So you're not banging around the house playing bass?
Not as much as I used to. I play guitar more than I play bass around the house. And I actually learn a lot of the songs. If I'm learning songs on bass, I learn it on acoustic guitar first, and then play it on the bass. But no, not like I used to. Man, I used to fall asleep with it.
Yeah, right.
You
became obsessed with it.
I was totally obsessed with it. Totally obsessed.
Especially when you figure things out.
Yeah.
And then that just drives you to learn more.
I tell you what, torture that still goes on with me like a song. If I get a song in my head or if I'm learning something, it doesn't go away. It's in I can't sleep, and like a lick goes over and over again. It's really torture, man. It's torture.
Until you play it, or
until you play it. Yeah, until you get it with the band and knock it out a few times. Then it kind of goes away. But it'll stick in your head
forever.
It drives me nuts. Unbelievable.
Funny how that works too. Like you get the song stuck in your head, and then you're just like, all right, I got to relinquish this.
Yeah.
I need to play this just to get it out.
Yeah.
And then 10 minutes later, you forget about it.
And then people,
next.
people don't realize they'll sing some stupid disco song or something, and it gets stuck in your head. They don't realize that musicians aren't the average people. When you stick a song in their head, I mean, you just did them a huge disservice because that thing's gonna stick in there for a while, For me, anyways, And now I start thinking about it. And a lot of times I just gotta go play it, go figure it out,
right? Exactly.
Even no matter if Donna Summer, what is that lick in that song? Yeah, it's really crazy. No matter what it is, Gilligan's Island. Oh man, what is that song? I gotta figure that out. It's nuts.
It is nuts, man. Music, though, it's your best friend, man. I mean, the fabric of our lives. Music would suck. Life would suck if there was no music.
Oh, totally suck. I couldn't even imagine.
I couldn't. I don't know. I'm obsessed with it. Like, it's the first thing I do in the morning. First thing I do in the morning is put on some tunes, or a lot of times too. I'm sure this happens to you as well. It's like you're in either dreamland or whatever, and you wake up and it's like you hear a song in your dreams or in your sleep, and then that's the first song you hear. And I get obsessed with that. Yeah. And that happens to me a lot. If it's like somebody trying to break through song or whatever it is, but
I got to be honest with you. One of my ways to depart from it a little bit is like podcasts and stuff.
Are you listening to podcasts?
I do. I love Joe Rogan.
Me too.
Cracks me up.
Me too.
He's keeping it real.
Right. He's the guru of all podcasts. Right?
Oh man, he's great. Yeah. And talk radio. It can get stupid, but it's just fun to listen to people talk, just to help get music out of your head a little bit, because you have to, because it's an obsession. It really, really is, especially if you're doing more than one project.
Right.
Because you're always trying to think of songs. What song would be good for this band to do? What could we do? What's a good Red Hot song? What's a good Bad Dog song? What's a good Props song? Then I play with that band Caution. Once in a while, those guys are crazy. It's a jam band.
Oh yeah,
but Chad,
my man Chad.
I call him Plaid Pants. Me and him did a duo for a while, and Chad and Billy. We called it Bad Chili. It was great. Yeah, he's great. He wants to be Elvis. He's working on Elvis. He's got the sideburns going.
Are you still gigging like every week with all these bands too?
Pretty much, yeah.
So you're busy.
Yeah, 3 gigs this week, 3 gigs next week. So, one of the gigs this week, Red Hush, Friday night, shameless plug, at the gig. Saturday, Simple Props is doing an opening set for Eric Martin at from Mr. Big, and PJ Farley from Trickster. They're doing a show at the Capitol Theater.
Oh, cool.
And we're doing a 30-minute opening set, and then we're boogieing out of there, and we're doing a gig at the Stumping Post Saturday night. And then next week is Props Lukens, Thanksgiving Eve. Caution at the gig. The gig is kind of doing some different music, a little Caution music.
That's cool.
Yeah. And Saturday's Bad Dog at the Snubbing Post.
While you're busy.
Yeah. So, and I'm busy within a 30-mile radius.
Which is good.
Which is really good.
Yeah.
People's like, why don't you play Syracuse more? We do some stuff in Syracuse and stuff, but it's a hard market to break into. But we do have a couple of places. Coleman's, we play Coleman's out there and have an absolute riot. We love it. So, and we're trying to break in out there a little more. But, if you're a good band, and professional, do your deal, you could keep busy.
Yeah.
You really can. So
I want to talk about Simple Props because I feel like they're such an underrated band locally.
Yeah, I don't get that. I don't know why.
I think Mike Sales has got one of the best golden voices around. The boy can sing.
Scott Rutledge gave him. He said he's got the best voice for what we're doing. He's not going to sing Disturbed. You know what I mean? But for what we're doing, the Journey and the Queen stuff like that. Yeah, he says he's got one of the best voices he's heard here since Franny. And I agree for that style of music. Mm-hmm. We do some Boston now with Props. We added a keyboard player.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Bruce Peterson out of Syracuse, and we do some Boston now, and we're doing a little REO. And we try to do the stuff that is popular, but not I hear that 8 times a day. And we haven't thrown anything at him that he couldn't sing yet. You know what I mean?
He's got great pipes.
Yeah.
Great pipes. And big ups to Barney, too.
Oh, Barney.
It's got to be a blast playing in it. I love that dude. He's just such a good time.
He's so laid back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the whole band, it's fun.
Yeah.
Every band I play with is I enjoy playing. We have a good time.
And that's super important.
Yeah.
Because if it wasn't fun, you wouldn't be doing it.
And everybody's different. You know what I mean? Like Shane, great front man. Mm-hmm. Great front. Different than Mike. Mm-hmm. But, tears it up. Great front man. Mm-hmm. He's a rock front man.
He is.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
just right in your face and, prowls the stage and you just got that attitude. Mm-hmm. And that's great. Love it. And then Bad Dog, we all share the singing duties and a lot of harmonies and stuff like that. And that's, that's a lot of fun. I enjoy that. So I get to tickle all my fancies, And then Caution with, Wiz, I don't know, Michael Bell, Rick Gherkin, Pickle. We call him Pickle. Yeah. He's out there playing with everybody.
He's had a great career too.
Oh yeah, Warren Haynes. Yeah, he's great.
Dickie Betts.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Then we got Johnny Dugan on drums, who is a powerhouse.
Mm-hmm. Been around for years.
And we lock in, and have so much fun. We take a song. I've never considered myself a jam band guy, but I was in a band, Midnight Mike and the Big Notes, quite a few years ago, and one of my really dear friends, Tommy Moonen, is a drummer, and me and him have just really lock. We're just we're a rhythm section, really lock, and we would do things. Just we felt the same thing at the same time. We played together so long, and Dugan's like that a lot, and so is Dave Pallas. Props to Dave Pallas. The same way. We've played together so long and whatnot that we just little nuances that aren't necessarily there will pull off. And be like, how the hell did you know I was going to do that? Well, I just felt it, And you do it. And that's precious, man. You just don't get that all the time, So that's what you search for,
We're playing in all these bands. Is there a song that comes on the radio that you can't listen to anymore? You have to turn the dial every time.
There's quite a few.
Yeah?
There's quite a few.
Give me a couple.
Shane loves this song. But I just can't handle it. Is that Change in My Pocket? I got a little change in my... I can't do it.
Georgia Satellites.
I'd rather... Yeah. Mm-hmm. Not that it's not a great song. It's just one of those songs, man.
Irritating.
Not Bad Company. BTO, Taking Care of Business, stuff like that. It's like, no. Cocaine, Eric Clapton,
right.
No. Freebird, forget it.
Right.
I'll kill you.
I knew Freebird would be on that list.
Oh, it's just Sweet Home Alabama.
Yeah,
Give Me 3 Steps. No.
Right.
I can't. Not that they're not great songs. It's just, man, I've been spoon-fed them so long. Can't do it. I once got a $100 tip for playing Give Me 3 Steps.
$100 tip.
Yeah, the guy, his wife was probably really pissed when he got home. Where's your money?
I gave it to Billy.
But he made me. I said, no. It was long. It was in Night Train when we were in Night Train. Mm-hmm. And so I said, fine, man. Give me $100. Okay. If that's really what you want,
I'll take it.
We'll do it.
1, 2, 3, 4, hit it.
And then we didn't really know it. We just faked it through. Mm-hmm. He didn't know.
How about a song that you hear on the radio that you have to turn up and listen to? Like something you'll never turn.
Oh, man. I got to say, rock-wise, Oh, there's so much, man. Buck Cherry, anything by Buck Cherry, man. I love
you're
that
Buck
band.
Cherry fan.
I just love that band. I couldn't tell you who's in it. I just love the music, you know. I've never been like a music aficionado, you know what I mean?
No.
Like, oh yeah, well, you know, Bob Stonehenge, he played such and such on. I have no clue, no clue. You know, I just know I like it. You know, the
You know
band's great.
bands.
Yeah, I know bands.
Bands
yeah,
and songs.
I don't know all the ins and outs of them, you know, but yeah, and the old stuff like the Foreigners, stuff like that. You can't go wrong with that stuff. It's just flat out, just Bad Company. Paul Rogers is just one of my favorite vocalists.
Yeah.
I just love that stuff.
Did you catch him at the fair this year?
I didn't know.
That was great.
Yeah.
What a great show.
I did see Peter Noon, though.
That's my boy, man. That's my boy. He hits me up on Instagram like daily.
He was great.
Yeah, we've become friends actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we've become friends because I pick him up every year at the state fair.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm his
Yeah.
transportation.
Oh,
for
nice.
3 years in a row, and we've become friends. And now he hits me up on Instagram. It's funny. I'm like, I can't believe I'm friends with Herman Hermits over here.
That's great, though.
It's
Let me
fun.
tell you what, that guy could
We have
probably has
so
told you
much-
some stories.
Oh my God! Can I tell you a story he
Oh,
told
yeah,
me just
I'd love
this
to know.
year?
Yeah.
As he told me a story, I picked him up, and so he was telling me about a story about how him and John Entwistle
Right.
were cruising around, and they decided to hang out at some pub, and they were just drinking, and it's like noon, 1 o'clock, and then they were hanging out with these girls, and all of a
Right.
sudden the cocaine came out, and the wine. And he goes, and then I woke up in Hamburg, Germany, like 3 days later, and I have no idea
No
how
idea.
I got there. I'm like, oh, I could just listen to you talk all day long, dude.
He was a rock star, man. Still is.
Oh, yeah, still is.
You know, he was a rock
Still
star.
is.
People don't realize. It didn't matter if you were in Led Zeppelin or if you were in Herman's Hermits. You know, big is big. Doesn't matter if you're Engelbert Humperdinck or, you know, Slash.
Yeah.
You know, they're all crazy at a time when, you know, music was crazy.
He's even older than McCartney.
Engelbert Humperdinck. Or
No,
Peter Noon?
Peter Noon.
When I saw him at this fair, he did like a 60s medley. He did,
Always, yeah.
It was
that's his
great.
shtick.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
And his voice, he's like sounded like, you know.
And he's funnier than a bastard.
Yeah.
He's
he was-
hysterical.
He was breaking balls pretty heavy.
Yeah, I got to get him on this podcast, actually. He's like, I did bring it up to him. He's like, what's a podcast?
What's the podcast?
No idea what it was. Like, it's a conversation. Oh, I can have a conversation with you. I got some really cool videos of him, actually, with us and the crew. And what a super guy, though.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
really is. And it kind of goes back to when we originally started this podcast on talking about the Monkees.
Right.
Because like his band reminds me of the Monkees.
Oh,
a little
sure,
bit, 'cause
yeah.
They even look like them.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, the Monkees were like a generic. They wanted them to, you know, be like
The Beatles.
yeah, and that's who everybody wanted to be. So it's like let's, you know, so they could have been, you know, stick your face here kind of thing, you know. Which is crazy.
It is
Good
crazy,
stuff.
man. Billy, it's been great, man. We talked over an hour already.
Oh,
We could probably go another 5.
Ask my friends. We could go another 10.
Probably. I do got to tell everybody we got 3 and Out coming up. So all you football heads out there, the NFL is in full swing right now. We're pretty much halfway through the season right now. Huh?
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
really an
Go
NFL
Bills.
guy anymore. I kind of
Yeah, I like the Bills. It was my father's team.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't.
The NFL's changed so much.
Yeah.
It has. It's not even that rugged sport it used to be.
The whole pro athlete thing, I'm really turned off on.
Me too.
To be honest with you,
Me too.
the whole attitudes and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But 3 and Out's coming up at right around 7 o'clock with Masucci and Mossy and the crew from 3 and Out. They always deliver some great football content, so make sure you keep it here on the D and see all the great stuff that they're doing. We got a lot of stuff going on, man. There's so much stuff going on around the D, man.
Good.
A lot of
Keep
good
it going,
stuff.
man. You're doing a great job. I
Thank
love it.
you, man. I
Absolutely love it.
appreciate
See
it.
you everywhere. You're like everywhere. Hardest working man in show business.
I don't know about that.
The James Brown.
Hit me one time. Ow! I would love it. Wouldn't be great to play with James Brown?
Oh my God.
Even though he was so militant,
Right,
and
right.
he was very like strict with all. Like he would find guys for playing wrong notes. That
Oh
was
yeah. Well,
his
he knew.
thing.
He knew what he wanted, even when it didn't musically make sense.
Right.
He knew what he heard.
Imagine that. Like he knew what he heard. Like the creativity on
Yeah.
that guy was just off the chart.
Off the chart. I mean, he was playing with accomplished musicians, and he would tell them, "No, I want this," and they're like, "Well, that musically doesn't make." And I've had this conversation with people before when we're arranging
We're going
things.
to talk about this right now.
Yeah.
Yes, this is great.
When we're arranging things, it's like, you know, counting in or counting out, or when you're doing a mashup or something, you know, they'll say, "Well, that doesn't make sense." No, you have to. Don't look at it from a trained way. You know what I mean? That's the way he did. It's how you hear and how you feel, man. You can. There's so much to be said for, like Bob Bachman would say, a feel thing. You know what I mean?
It's all about the groove.
It's all about the groove. It's all about the feel. You know. And if you can master that or get a handle on it, man, and people don't know. I mean, I'm not, downgrading the average fan, but what I'm saying is, the average fan, music listener, they don't know what you're playing.
Right.
And they don't even really know if you're per se playing it correctly, but they know how it feels.
Yep.
That's what they know. They know how it feels. I always tell people, they say, play something we can dance to. I say, well, the last song was 4/4 timing, and that's pretty much every dance song ever, other than a waltz, or whatever. So it's not, it's the feel of the song,
right?
And if they feel it, they love it.
So one thing, you can teach theory and you can teach all that, but you can't teach the pocket.
You cannot teach the pocket.
You can't teach the feel. You can't teach the groove.
And in drumming, because I love, the groove and everything, and I totally understand the pocket, timing, being ahead of it, being, pushing it,
right
a backbeat, being right on top of it, but all still in time. It's so important. Joe Rossi,
he's a clock.
Yeah,
he is.
He's great at that. He's great at pushing it or pulling it back. The backbeat on top of the beat. That's great.
Yeah,
that's what you got to have. He's a master at that. Really good.
Yeah,
he had a good teacher. His dad's a great drummer. So
wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of good musicians. We go on forever just about the musicians around here.
But feel is the one thing that loosen up a little bit.
Yeah, loosen up.
If you loosen it up and not so like.
We just had a little Facebook conversation about tempo. And I said, well, it's not always tempo.
Right.
It's sometimes it's feel. You might have the correct tempo, but the wrong feel.
Yeah.
So you might feel like, for example, if you play a Stones song on top of the beat, it's wrong.
Right.
It's a backbeat.
Yeah, it's got to come back. Yeah.
He's the king of the backbeat. So if you're playing it 2 on top, it's not going to feel right, and the person dancing is going to know it doesn't feel right. It's good, but something's missing. Yeah, music is. There's more to it.
Yeah, you could be a 4/4 drummer, but loose.
Oh yeah,
you could be
sure.
way loose.
Way loose.
I know a lot of guys that just can't get off the 4/4.
Right.
But they still have good feel.
Right.
Yeah. And then there's some prog guys that are out there playing crazy time signatures 7/8 or whatever there.
Yeah.
And but when it comes to 4/4, they're a little awkward and it's weird.
Play Brown Sugar.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Straight.
The simple stuff.
Yeah.
Isn't so simple. There's a lot going on there, like the Beatles.
Mm-hmm.
Paul McCartney. I know he's not a drummer, but he's
the king of the field.
Young guys, say, hey man, what should I listen to? What should I play? I always tell them, well, learn your bass first. Learn where you're going. What you're doing, where you're going, and get the feel for it. Then start with Paul McCartney. You're gonna learn how to play with the melody, around the melody, counter melody. Paul McCartney is the master. And then from there, go wherever you want, whatever you want to play, whatever your style is. But, go there first because he's just amazing. Absolutely, man. There's a lot of them. John Paul Jones is
the best.
You really listen to his bass lines. And I didn't when I was younger, until I started learning them. I wasn't a big Zeppelin. I liked Zeppelin, but I was never like a huge Zeppelin fan.
Well, you were listening, but you weren't hearing it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then, once you start really learning it, because you kind of learn, when you're younger, you learn them, but you don't really learn them.
Right.
Then as you get older, you're like, wow, listen to what he's doing there. I never really heard that. Same with everything, a lot of that. When we were kids, I wish, we had cell phones with video because we thought we were great in 1978. God only knows we didn't have tuners, nothing. Mm-hmm. We were learning them off records or off the radio. You couldn't really hear, So God only knows how bad we were butchering stuff.
Right.
But what are you going to do?
Yeah. What do you tell inspiring bands? Like bands that are coming up and stuff, like the young guys. You give them any advice?
I do. If they ask, I just say, do your thing.
Do your thing.
Do your thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Do your own thing. Another thing is, doesn't matter what style of music you're doing. There's still a bit of a format. There's a way to do things right and a way to do things wrong. You know what I mean? Show up on time. Be cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Be cool.
Yeah.
This isn't the 60s, just be cool. You don't have to smash your gear and be, because like I had a lot of friends that are like hardcore punk back in the day,
right.
And it was just, they'd play and it was great and it was a riot, but then they left Carnage. You know what I mean? The guys would leave SIV. They'd leave Carnage.
Right.
And nobody would want them back again. Like, my God. But I tell them to just be cool, man. Do your thing. Stay true to your thing, and be cool. Show up on time. Do your thing. Be cool. Stick to your guns.
Mm-hmm.
I play in a lot of cover bands, obviously, but I also tell them, do your thing.
Mm-hmm.
If that's what you're into, do it. Do it.
How about inspiring bass players? People want to learn bass.
I tell them, like what we talked about, they ask who should I listen to, what should I learn,
right?
And I always give them a piece of advice that Art Nicotera gave me.
Wow,
remember Art Nicotera?
Oh, of course, yeah.
He told me, he says, kid, if you play the bass guitar, because he'd say guitar, he says, and you sing, you'll always have a gig. I'm not a great singer, but I sing back up and I sing a few songs. You know what I mean?
And look at you're gigging 3 times a week now.
Yeah, and you're gigging. You know what I mean? He always said, and don't pigeonhole yourself. Don't say I play.
Yeah, open yourself.
Yeah,
up
open yourself up, man.
Multi genres.
Yeah, I just saw an interview with who the heck was it? I can't remember who he was, but he was talking about how he was really pigeonholed, and he did his thing. It's like this is what I do, and then he got into he saw the Ramones play, and he was blown away. He was like, wow, it was the energy of it, just the whole thing, and it just opened his mind. Wow, you don't have to, because I've sat in with Grit and Grace a few times, great band, I sit in with people all the time. Play whatever. If you're playing your instrument, then you're winning, man. No matter what you're playing. A bass line's a bass line. I don't say I just do this, because if you go off and you play, like say you learn some country songs, you play country, or you go off and play blues or whatever, and you bring that back to whatever because you're going to have what you are, true to yourself, but doesn't mean you can't play other things. If you look at any great musicians, and you'll see that they didn't just do that. They learned all this other stuff. They got a lot of other influences and how to play this, how to play that. If you bring those licks into what you're doing, now maybe you're doing something a little different that the other guys that are playing whatever style aren't doing, because you played reggae, or you played blues or country or whatever, Zydeco, whatever you want to play. Don't stick to say, oh, I just play this. I hate that. I really do hate
right.
that. Play whatever, man.
Yeah, open yourself up.
Yeah, because you're going to learn new licks.
You can't learn if you don't step outside your comfort zone.
You got to step outside your
box.
You'll never grow.
You'll never grow.
Yeah, you got to clip a few branches to make things grow. You know what I mean? And you just have to. You really gotta. And like I said, if you're playing your instrument, you're in front of people, doing gigs. If you're playing, you're winning. Yep. No matter what style of music it is. And of course, you always have the style that you love. With me, it just happens to be every style.
Yeah, right.
I like everything. I really do. There's a couple things I'm not crazy about, but I like it all.
Yeah.
I like it all. If it feels good, do it.
Any new bands out there you can tell us about? Is there anything new that you're listening to? Besides some of the classics?
I don't know. I listen to stuff and I don't. I should be more up on it. I don't know the names of the bands. I hear stuff and I'm like, wow, that's really good.
Are you a radio guy? Do you listen to radio often? Or?
I do, but there's not a lot of new stuff on the radio. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
There's nowhere to really find a lot of new stuff on the radio. I found myself listening to a lot of new country, because a lot of the new country sounds like 80s rock to me.
Totally.
Yeah. And which is cool. I love the 80s rock. So a lot of it, and they're great musicians. So I'll listen to that once in a while. But like I said, I listen to a lot of talk radio now. But I go down the rabbit hole, like you said. I'll get on YouTube and check out a band, and then that'll bring me to this band and that band. So there's a lot of, like, Grace Potter. I love. I know she's not new, but
I love Grace.
Yeah,
she's the best woman in rock.
She is, man.
By far. I don't see anybody touching her right now. I mean, there's Hailstorm out there.
Yeah.
And Lizzie Hale's great.
Yeah, great.
But there's nothing like Grace Potter, where she picks up this flying V, and then she's ripping this flying V.
Yeah.
And then she puts it down, and she's behind this Hammond organ, and she's ripping the Hammond
organ. She's
all
over the place.
And then she can sing like an angel. It's like, and she's super cool.
Super cool.
Great. Grace is awesome. I love her. We need to bring her back to Utica. But Billy, thanks so much for coming in.
I'm seeing her at the Egg in January. Yeah.
Oh, cool. That's going to be cool too, because she's Well, no, she's from Burlington, but she's got a lot of roots in Albany too.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So it's kind of like
yeah,
it'll probably be a special show.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Speaking of shows, tomorrow night's the Jam. If you got time, man, come out, check out Lettuce at the Stanley Theater.
Oh yeah,
that's going to be off the charts, man. I want to say Justin Smithson was telling me the opening band they're called Ghost Note. So if you're calling yourself Ghost Note, you better come to the table, right? You know that's putting it out there. You're saying that we're badass motherfuckers,
we're badass,
right?
Yeah.
That's saying it right off the bat. But I guess the keyboard player is also the keyboard player in Toto.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for Ghost Note. And then Lettuce is going on after that.
Right.
And Lettuce, they're all Berkeley guys.
Right.
If you watch any of the Knicks or Madison Square Garden channel, all that music is Lettuce produced.
Right. Oh,
and
really?
They're up for a couple Grammys and stuff like that. And
wow.
They're coming to the Stanley tomorrow. It's going to be off the charts, so people get your tickets. It's going to be a great time. Great little party. The Stanley's doing a lot of cool things, man.
Love it. Rome Capitol Theater's,
they're
kicking
coming
it up
back,
too. Yeah.
You guys are now mention that show again, too.
That's Saturday. We're doing a half-hour opening set for Eric Martin and PJ Farley. Eric Martin from Mr. Big, PJ Farley from Trickster.
Okay.
And then they've got they're doing the Gold Dust. I think they're called Gold Dust Gypsies or something. A Fleetwood Mac tribute. And Jonathan Cain is coming there in December from Journey.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah. And he does some Journeys, some of his stuff, and some Christmas stuff. It's like a Christmas show type of deal. I believe Mark Bolas is the opening act. Mark Bolas' band.
Very cool. Rome's coming back too, man.
I just did a gig there with Stephen Lang. You know who Stephen Lang is? No. Stephen Lang is a badass dude. He played the Colonel there in Avatar. You know, the badass Colonel there that fights in the robot thingy, whatever it is. He does a one man show honoring Medal of Honor winners, and I did his sound for him.
Really?
He was great. Yeah, it was fantastic. So they're doing it, man. Stanley, Rome Capitals, they're trying to kick it up, man.
It's all
There's stuff going on out there. Get your ass out there and do it, man.
Boy, tell them.
I don't want to hear, there's nothing to do in this area.
There's a lot less of that. You don't hear that anymore.
Not as much.
Not as much. Yeah, there is things to do. Yeah. People are active in the community. It's
and get out of your comfort zone. Mm-hmm. Okay, you never heard of Lettuce. Go check it out.
Yeah. You're going to have a funky good time.
You're going to have a good time.
Yeah, for sure.
You know?
For sure.
Yeah. It can't always be, ZZ Top and Journey, man.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Step outside the comfort zone.
And look, they just had Sticks over there.
Oh, it was awesome.
They're awesome.
Were you there?
I wasn't there, but I've seen them a lot. I've seen them.
What a show.
Done shows with them, and their lead singer, what's his name? I can't remember. The other guy, the one who's not with them anymore. Dennis DeYoung.
Dennis DeYoung.
Yeah, great. I have some great stories about him, too. Funny. But, yeah, great stuff, man. It's out there. You just got to go.
Nice.
Got to go.
Actually, next time you come back, because we got to do this again, because we could be here for another 10 hours if we wanted to. I want to go through a bunch of your encounters that you've had with rock stars throughout the years. So let's make sure we plan that up and stuff. And
definitely.
Billy, thanks again so much for coming in. So this weekend, he's out at the gig with Red Hush on Friday, and then Saturday over at the Capitol Theater.
And Snubbing Post Saturday night.
You're all
after
over
the Capitol, yeah.
Big ups to my boys over at Simple Props, man. I love those guys.
Great guys.
I got a lot of love for them. And, of course, the Red Hush boys.
Yeah,
they're all my peeps. So, yes, and thank you to Utica Hemp Company. Thank you to Nye Volkswagen in Rome. And also thank you to EJA Moving Services for the sponsorship here at the D and all the love that they give us here each and every day. Also, thank you to Saranac and Utica Coffee. Love my Utica Coffee. And tomorrow, Lettuce. Make sure you guys go check out Lettuce. And then Thursday, Max Sheldone's coming in to hang out with me.
Love Max.
Dude, one of the most talented people out there. Yeah. The guy's got a voice like unbelievable. He can play, and some of his metal stuff is incredible. On Fire's doing a little comeback. I know they're going to be playing on December 27th. And then he's in the studio with In the Shadow.
Okay.
Which is just an over-the-top progressive metal.
Really?
Max over the top of it. They're incredible. So it's good to see them coming out with another release with Into Shadow.
Nice.
So that's going to be on Thursday. Looking forward to chopping it up with Max. And one more time, Billy, you're awesome, man. So thank you so much.
Brother.
Let's do this again really soon. And I will see you tomorrow. Later, people.
You know what the hell you're listening to? It's EC Radio.
It's Bowling for the Bahamas and Celebrity Bowling Challenge to benefit the Bahamas Disaster Relief Fund. Sunday, December 1st, 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. AMF Panorama Lanes, 1724 Genesee Street, Utica. Come have fun and enjoy a few games of bowling for a good cause. There will be prizes, food and drink specials, and some special challenges mixed in along the way. $20 per bowler or $100 per team includes 2 games and shoe rental. All proceeds go directly to the Bahamas Relief Foundation. That's Bowling for the Bahamas and Celebrity Bowling Challenge, presented by Disruption Network, Holy Pozzoli, and AMF Panorama Lanes. Sunday, December 1st, 1724 Genesee Street, Utica.
So you just bought your dream home, and now it's time to move. Let's face it, nobody likes to move. All the packing, unpacking, lifting, upstairs, downstairs, and broking everything, including your back. Let the professionals at EJA Moving Company take all the stress and pain out of your move. Competitively priced moving, relocation services, office moves, and complete packing and unpacking services. They work with everybody to make it simple and easy for you to move and relocate. Call EJA Moving Company at 315-335-0516. When it's time to relocate, have EJA Moving do all the work for you. Hit them up online, ejamoving.com.
Hey, Disruption Network. This is Mike Sacco, the general manager at Nye Volkswagen of Rome. If you don't know me by name, it's only because you have not received the best deal. There's only one reason to leave Utica, and that's to come see me in Rome and get the best deal on your next new, pre-owned, or certified VW. Mention that you heard this ad from Disruption Network and receive $250 off your next vehicle purchase. You'll know why our customers say, I love my Nye VW. Come see us at 5865 Rome Taberg Road in Rome, or visit us online at nyvwofrome.com.
Want to know what's going on at the D? Hit up DisruptionNetwork.net and check out our events calendar, brought to you by the Events Co. Find out about upcoming guests, special events, concerts, show schedules, community activities, and more. Get connected at DisruptionNetwork.net.